What's going on, everyone? We're back again working on this thing. Countdown is on to Hotrod Power Tour. I think we got like 16 days before I actually leave. So, today's video, I'm going to go over a couple little things to prep this ride for Power Tour. You can see it's already lifted, front end up, brakes. We gotta look over the brakes. And then wheel bearings. Power Tour for me is gonna be probably close to 3,800 miles again, because you can see by this graphic, I live up here in the UP of Michigan, and Power Tour starts in Atlanta, Georgia, down here at the bottom end of the country. So just to get down there, it's going to be close to a 20-hour drive. Oh well. But with that, we got to make sure we have all good, proper brakes. Now you might remember, Impala had slotted, drilled rotors we put on here 2 years ago. Haven't touched them since. Same thing with wheel bearings. So let's look them over. So what I like to do when you get your car jacked up, whenever you're diving into brakes and wheel bearings, you know, get the front wheel up so it's loose. Go ahead and spin it. If you got any unnecessary squealing or grinding or just all sorts of weird noises, you know, you probably got to get the Rock Auto app going, because you're going to need parts. Luckily, kind of sounds like we got a little bit of pad dragging. That's not bad. So give her a couple spins, forward, backwards, see what you hear, whatnot. And I'm not too worried about. So check the wheel bearings. I like to grab the tires. Top, bottom, side to side. And if you get any clunk, 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 you probably got a loose wheel bearing. Could be loose. Could be worn out. Ours are pretty tight. So, that's good news, at least for this side. Go check out the other side here in a minute. See, but guessing that we're pretty darn solid. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this center cap off, get the wheel off, and then we'll look at the brakes a little further. Hey, it's still around. Cool. So first inspection on any brake job is you want to make sure your rotors don't have any unnecessary grooves in the front, in the back side. Get your fingers in there, feel them. They're good. You don't want to see any like weird streaks around the outside here. You don't want to see a bunch of dust blowing all over the place, because it's probably heavily worn. Other than that, you just general inspection, you're good. Like I mentioned, you got a little bit of dragging going on. That's okay. When you get to your pad side on your caliper, that's your squealer. That's what makes that annoying sound when that's rubbing against your rotor. So that's time to change pads. You do your visual inspection from the top side here, and you can see that you can get in there on your pads and see how much actual pad material you have on your inspection. And ours, I can get the light on there a little bit better. Actually, are pretty good. So, not too concerned. Still got plenty of life left in these pads and rotors. If you do have any excessive wear or whatever and you're running low on pricing, I've done a bunch of brake videos and taken them in, gotten them turned. They're like 10 bucks to turn them. Depending on if you can get them turned, they'll measure them and spec them out. But that is good first visual on any of this. Move on to the brake line itself. You want to make sure you don't have a bunch of corrosion nastiness going on in the metal side of it. Your rubber line, usually those deteriorate from the inside and they'll allow fluid in and they'll compress your piston, but they won't allow the fluid to come back out. So when that happens, you'll get a sticky brake on your caliper. Calipers themselves too, the pistons like to stick on there and cause issues, but all in all, we're good. If your car is equipped with ABS, make sure your ABS sensor is all good in there. It's not shredded, blown apart. That'll cause you issues, give you an ABS light. So our first visual inspection of the brake side of things on the driver's side, thumbs up. Next, move on to the wheel bearing. And I'm going to go ahead and knock this dust cap off. So I got a very specific tool you use to pop these covers off on these here GMs. That's the first one. Second one, BFE, big frickin' hammer. Frickin'. So, put the flat blade on there. Tap it around, you'll see it pop off. You can work your way around, pry it off. Front Jones, backside, you know the deal. Get in there, and at some point, the cap will just come off. When you work it enough. Like so. And what you want to see is a bunch of grease like so inside the cap. This tells me we got plenty of grease in there. Kind of overpacked them here when I did them, which I like to do. Inspection on here, you want to make sure you got all grease in there and you don't have any metal shavings and cotter key and everything's good. Well, let me just get you in here and show you. So in on there, like I was mentioning, full of grease. That's good. It's not burnt. This is an actual red style. I use the old bearings and I think I mix it with black, so it's going to be like that. You want to make sure you use your high temp disc brake grease if you have to repack these. It does have a castle nut in there and you can see the cotter key. Brand new, not sheared off. Everything's good. As we turn it, we don't have any grinding, weird feelings, anything like that going on in here. Everything looks to be status quo. You have two bearings in here on the spindle. You got a front one and a back one. Back one's got a dust cap on there. You have to put the back one in, put the race in if you need to, and put the dust cover sealer on. So inspect that while you're looking. Make sure you don't got any grease blowing out from the back side here. I don't. You guys tell me. Is there any grease back there? Probably not. If you got grease, you'll notice it flinging around. So yeah, that's good. Could go ahead, pack some more grease on there before you repack it in there. Everything looks good in here, so I'm happy with that. So I'm going to repack some grease in there and we'll put the cap back on. There we go. It's all cleaned up. Wipe down the edge. Cap's on, greased up. Next, move on to your caliper. You can remove your caliper, lube it all up. Everything seems to be pretty tight in there, good in there, and things are spinning just fine. I'm not going to go ahead and lube mine up, but you can apply a thin block of grease or whatever you need to on there. Clean up your guide pins if needed. Sand them down. Put a wire wheel on them. And should be good. So we're going to call this side done. I'm going to go do the other side and then we'll move on to the rear. I will mention here, ouch. I will mention here really quick that when you got the fronts up, probably be a good time to check out your master cylinder. Make sure you're up on the fluid. If it's dark, if it's gross, if it's nasty, bleed it. Suck all the stuff off of your reservoir there. Get it all cleaned up. put some fresh fluid in there. You already got it jacked up here, so let the thing gravity bleed down and keep adding the clean fluid to the top side, and you'll get it down there, and then you'll have good brakes. And you won't have those issues when you get, you know, dirty, nasty brake fluid. All those things that happen with bad brake fluid. Anyways, back to where I was. Rear side, pretty similar. Check off your rotors. Make sure they have no groovatures in them. Look at your pads. Make sure they got enough meat on them. Yep. Want to make sure you got no leaks. Backside here, we have axle seals. You don't want them dribbling off the bottom here. That's really it. I know we had some stuff you can look at, e-brake stuff. If you want to look at e-brake, you got your e-breakage lines. Make sure they're all good. We had a little bit of a wheat every so often, and I'm pretty sure it's probably this little mark right here on the rotor. I don't know why, but it's worn off and I haven't heard it in a while, so I'm going to continue to ignore it because everything looks fine with the brakes and they seem to be operating as normal. So, just going to look over some stuff. I can see some residual from our oil leak. But other than that, everything looks pretty darn good in here. Maybe we could blast a coat of paint on the wheel wells. I don't know. We're not talking about wheel wells yet. We're talking about brakes. Brakes are good. No leakages. Lines look fine. Okay. So we're back together. I'll check out the other side. Well, because I'm procrastinating and I started looking at the rim, I went ahead and I took my buffer. I started buffing. Now I gotta buff all the rims because you can see they're, wow. More to come on that soon. There's the front one again for a comparison. There's the back one for comparisons. Dang. Seeing now how you got your wheel bearings and brakes checked out, both sides. We're good there. Now you're going to want to move on and might as well check your tires out. Check them out when they're off. Make sure you don't got any little nails or anything in them. Check the air pressures. Go around, do all that. But one tire you want to make sure you're good on. Yep. Check out that spare tire. Make sure it's good. So when checking tire pressures, you gotta have something to check the pressure with. Sidewall will have your information on it, of your tire. Of course, 255/50 ZR17. The ZR means the rating for high speed, whatever, blown apart. Tubeless steel radial, safety warnings you can go around here and find. Right here, even though it's upside down, we can see that we have max of 51 pieces for our air pressure. Max payload, this wheel will hold 1,819 pounds. Times that by 4, that is plenty of poundages for this car, for these wheels. So we'll go ahead and make sure that we're in that range. Look, we're at like 45. Meh. We'll call that good. Tires will heat up in the heat, running them on the road. Air pressure will build up, so I think 45 pounds is decent. Gonna check all the other ones, and of course that spare tire, see what that one is. And here I got the compressor running. You can see this one a little bit different. We got I think a 35 pounds max pressure. Yeah. And when I go to check it, We only got like 20 pounds, 18 pounds. Definitely good. We checked that one. This one's a little bit low too, so we're gonna top it off. All right, what do we got now? We're about 30, a little bit more in there. Let's see if I can do this one one-handed. All right, call that good. Some of you might be asking, well, why are you going through checking out your brakes, checking out your wheel bearings, checking out your tires, making sure the air is properly inflated? You don't do that stuff any other time. Well, I do. I just don't usually film it. Plus, I usually don't drive 3,200 miles, 3,600 miles, whatever this trip's going to end up being, you know, in a matter of 10 days. So, I guess take it for what it's worth. But, we did brakes, checked out the wheel bearings, checked out the tires in this video. And this is just one of many to come to get ourselves prepped for Hotrod Power Tour. Now, you guys could just take your rig and go and do whatever, but I kind of like working on the vehicle in the garage versus alongside the road and, you know, rain, whatever it might be, traffic whizzing by you. And I like to have all my tools with me here versus trying to pack stuff in the trunk or go to Harbor Freight and buy what I need. So I'll have 12 of something else. Great. Nope. Trying to plan ahead a little bit. So stay tuned. I got plenty more little videos getting this thing ready to go for Power Tour. Fast approaching. Thanks everyone for watching. Like, subscribe, share, comment below. On stuff. Tell me I'm an idiot. Tell me that I am an idiot. See you next time.